For thousands of years, writing by hand has been at the very center of how we learn, how we communicate, how we create, really. But let's be honest, in our world of screens and keyboards, this ancient skill is, well, it's fading away, and fast. So the big question is, does it actually matter? Are we losing something more than just a charming, old-fashioned habit?
And just to put this into perspective, we're talking about over 5.5 millennia of handwriting. I mean, this is the technology that has captured everything from epic poems to scientific revolutions. But right now, for the first time in history, its place in our day-to-day lives is genuinely in question.
And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. We've traded the slow, deliberate pace of a pen for the blazing speed of a keyboard. But, as we're about to see, science is starting to show us exactly what that trade-off is costing our brains.
Yeah, and this isn't just a feeling we all have. The data really backs it up. A recent study found that a startling number of young people, especially Gen Z, are just completely disconnected from writing by hand. I mean, for a generation that was raised on swipes and taps, a pen can feel like a totally foreign object.
Which brings us to the core question we're going to tackle. As handwriting starts to disappear, what else are we giving up along with it? It's time to take a serious look at the cognitive and cultural implications.
Okay, so let's dive right into this. What is actually happening inside your brain when you decide to pick up a pen instead of opening your laptop? Well, the neuroscience here is absolutely fascinating. See, on a neurological level, writing by hand and typing are worlds apart. Handwriting is this complex, multi-sensory experience. It lights up these huge, intricate networks all across your brain. Typing, on the other hand, is way more repetitive. It just activates these narrow, limited pathways. It's a fundamentally shallower way for our brains to process information.
Think of it like a full brain workout, and it involves some key players. You've got your premotor cortex planning all those complex hand movements. The parietal cortex is handling the spatial awareness, like where the letters go on the page. Your cerebellum is fine-tuning all those motor skills. And, this is the big one, the hippocampus gets involved to lock what you're writing into your long-term memory.
And this all leads to something called the encoding hypothesis. The whole idea is that the very difficulty of handwriting, what some psychologists call a desirable difficulty, is precisely what makes it so powerful for learning. You can't just mindlessly transcribe a lecture word for word like you can on a keyboard. You're forced to listen, to summarize, and to process the ideas as you go. And that creates a much, much stronger memory.
And listen, this isn't just some abstract theory. It has a real impact. Studies have shown that this deeper level of processing can lead to a 23% improvement in conceptual understanding compared to just typing notes on a laptop. I mean, that is a huge advantage.
So all this growing scientific evidence is not just staying in academic journals. It's actually fueling a really surprising movement that's going from classrooms all the way to state capitals. The big return of cursive. Yup, after it was basically dropped from the US Common Core standards back in 2010, cursive is now making a legislated comeback. As of 2024, we're talking about nearly half of all states. Places like California, Texas, Florida have passed laws requiring cursive to be taught in public schools again.
But of course, this comeback tour isn't without its critics. On one side, you have proponents pointing to all the brain benefits, how it helps students with dyslexia, and the cultural need to, actually be able to read historical documents. But on the other side, opponents argue it's a waste of precious classroom time that could be spent on math or reading, and that the research on cursive specifically versus just regular print is still pretty inconclusive. But this whole push for handwriting isn't just coming down from lawmakers. It's also bubbling up as a grassroots cultural shift. And it's fascinating because different generations are embracing the pen for totally different reasons.
So when you look at why people are doing this, you see this amazing split. For baby boomers, a handwritten note is often about tradition, about proper social etiquette. For millennials, it's become a tool for a digital detox, a way to unplug and find some mental wellness. And then you get to Gen Z, the most digital native of us all, and for many of them, it's becoming a form of rebellion, a search for authenticity and the kind of deep thinking that screens don't always give them.
And this analog rebellion has some serious economic power behind it. The global market for stationery, for pens and paper, it's not shrinking, it is booming. Right now, it's valued at over $114 billion and is projected to surge past $180 billion within the next 10 years. That's incredible.
So where does all this leave us? Well, it looks like the future isn't some battle to the death between the pen and the keyboard. Instead, it seems we're moving towards developing a kind of blended literacy.
The real key takeaway here is about being intentional. We should absolutely use our keyboards for what they're best at: speed, efficiency, collaboration. But when we need to really learn something new, when we need to brainstorm deeply, or just do some personal reflection, that's when we should reach for a pen. This isn't about rejecting technology, it's about being smarter about how we think. It's using the right tool for the right kind of thinking.
And this all brings us to one final, really provocative thought. As artificial intelligence gets better and better at automating all that shallow work, transcribing meetings, summarizing documents, maybe the skills that require that desirable difficulty, skills like handwriting, are the ones that will become more valuable than ever. It really forces us to ask a crucial question. In this new age, which uniquely human skills are truly worth the effort to preserve and to cultivate?